Latest headlines. Obama urges black men to stop making excuses and support Harrism. Japanese atomic bomb survivors win Nobel Peace Prize. Eyewitness describes roar then explosion from Israeli strikes on Beirut that killed 22. Everest climber's foot found after 100 years. Elon Musk unveils Cybercab at Tesla robotaxi event. Breakdancers warned of cone-shaped lump from extensive headspinning. Let's go the detail. Eyewitness describes roar then explosion from Israeli strikes on Beirut that killed 22. Rescue workers are searching for signs of anyone trapped under rubble after 2 Israeli air strikes hit central Beirut on Thursday. Lebanon's health ministry says the attacks, which came with no warning, killed at least 22 people and injured 117 others. Israel has not yet commented. It was like a roar that seemed to grow closer with every second. Then came the explosion, one eyewitness tells the BBC. The BBC's Hugo Bachega says there's a growing sense of anxiety in Beirut, with the fear that airstrikes could hit at any moment. Meanwhile, Israel said Hezbollah fired more than 190 projectiles from Lebanon into Israel yesterday. In South Lebanon, 2 more UN peacekeepers have reportedly been injured after an observation post was fired at by Israeli forces, according to local media and Reuters. Obama urges black men to stop making excuses and support Harris. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has told a crowd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that black men need to stop making excuses and support Kamala Harris. The Harris campaign is leaning on super surrogates like Obama, and former President Bill Clinton, who campaigns in Georgia on Sunday. Meanwhile, Donald Trump spoke to an economic group in Detroit overnight, where he was critical of the city. Michigan Governor and Democratic Party member Gretchen Whitmer responded to Trump's comments on social media, saying, "Detroiters won't forget this." Trump will today campaign in Colorado and Nevada, while Harris is expected to speak in Arizona. Japanese atomic bomb survivors win Nobel Peace Prize. Nihon Hidankyo, a Japanese group of atomic bomb survivors, has won the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize. Known as Hibakusha, the group is made up of survivors of the 1945 bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It has been recognized by the Norwegian Nobel Committee for efforts to rid the world of nuclear weapons. Nobel Committee Chair Jurgen Watten Friedens said the group had contributed greatly to the establishment of the nuclear taboo. Mr. Friedens warned that nuclear taboo was now under pressure, and praised the group's use of witness testimony to ensure nuclear weapons must never be used again. Founded in 1956, the organization sends survivors around the world to share their testimonies of the atrocious damage and suffering caused by the use of nuclear weapons, according to its website. Their work began almost a decade after the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The group has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize many times in the past, including in 2005 when it received a special mention by the Norwegian Nobel Committee, its website says. On August 6, 1945, a U.S. bomber dropped the uranium bomb above the city of Hiroshima, killing around 140,000 people. 3 days later a second nuclear weapon was dropped on Nagasaki. 2 weeks later Japan surrendered, ending World War II. Speaking to reporters in Japan, a tearful Toshiyuki Mamaki, the co-head of the group, said, "Never did I dream this could happen," the AFP news agency quotes him as saying. Mr. Mamaki criticized the idea that nuclear weapons bring peace. It has been said that because of nuclear weapons, the world maintains peace. But nuclear weapons can be used by terrorists, Mr. Mamaki said, according to reports by AFP. In a BBC interview last year, he said despite only being 3 years old at the time the nuclear bomb hit Hiroshima, he could still remember dazed and burnt survivors fleeing past his home. The prize, which consists of a diploma, a gold medal and a sum of $1 million, £765,800, will be presented at a ceremonies in Oslo in December, marking the anniversary of the death of the scientist and prize creator Alfred Nobel. The decision to recognize Nihon Hidankyo means the Nobel Committee has steered away from more controversial nominees for the Peace Prize. There had been widespread speculation the United Nations Agency Supporting Palestinians, UNRWA, was being considered for the prize. Although the organization is the main provider of humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza, 9 of its members were fired for alleged involvement in the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7 last year. More than 12,000 people had signed a petition urging the committee not to award UNRWA the prize. There were equal concerns about the nomination of the International Court of Justice. The UN's main judicial organ is currently considering allegations that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza and has already issued a statement urging the Israeli authorities to refrain from genocidal acts. But while giving the prize to Neon Hidankyo may be a non-controversial choice, it could also focus global attention on the threat of nuclear conflict which overshadows the fighting in both Ukraine and the Middle East. Throughout Russia's invasion of Ukraine, its leaders have repeatedly hinted that they may be ready to use tactical nuclear weapons if Western allies increase their support for Ukraine in a way Russia considers unacceptable. These threats have succeeded in restraining Western support for fear of escalation. In the Middle East, the subtext for much of Israel's strategy is the fear that Iran is seeking nuclear capability, something Tehran denies. The Nobel Committee's decision may renew a debate about the use of nuclear weapons at a time when some countries look enviously at their deterring power. This year's Peace Prize had 286 nominations, a number comprising 197 individuals and 89 organizations. Nominations can be made by people in positions of significant authority, including members of national assemblies, governments and international courts of law. Iranian human rights activist Narges Mohammadi won the prize in 2023, when she was honored for her work fighting the oppression of women in Iran. Ms. Mohammadi is currently being held in Evin prison in Tehran, having already spent 12 years in jail serving multiple sentences related to her activism. Everest climber's foot found after 100 years. A foot believed to belong to a British climber who went missing 100 years ago has been found on Mount Everest, in a discovery that may solve one of mountaineering's biggest mysteries. Andrew Coman, Sandy, Irvine had attempted to climb Everest in June 1924 with his partner George Mallory when the pair vanished. While his partner's remains were eventually retrieved, Irvine's body was never discovered. But last month a team of climbers filming a National Geographic documentary stumbled on the foot, revealed by melting ice on a glacier. Well-known adventurer Jimmy Chin, who led the team, hailed the discovery as a monumental and emotional moment. Many have wondered if his team succeeded in becoming the first people to summit Everest, 29 years before Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reached the top. Over the years, some have tried to search for Irvine's body as he was said to have been carrying a camera with undeveloped film which could prove that he and his climbing partner George Mallory had succeeded. British authorities are now verifying the identity of the foot using a DNA sample, according to a National Geographic report. The BBC has asked the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office for comment. But the filmmaking team is fairly confident it belongs to Irvine, due to the sock found inside the boot being embroidered with the words AC Irvine. "I mean, dude, there's a label on it," Chin was quoted as saying. The discovery was made when the team descended the central Rongbuk Glacier by the north face of Everest in September. Along the way, they found an oxygen bottle marked with the date 1933. An Everest expedition that year had found an item belonging to Irvine. Energized by this possible sign that Irvine's body could be nearby, the team searched the glacier for several days, before one of them saw the boot emerging from melting ice. It was a fortuitous spot. They estimated the ice had only melted a week before their discovery. Jimmy Chin. The foot has since been removed because of concerns that ravens were disturbing it, according to reports, and passed to the Chinese mountaineering authorities who govern the north face of Everest. Julie Summers, a descendant of Irvine, said in a statement that she was moved to tears when Mr. Chin told her about the discovery. It was and will remain an extraordinary and poignant moment. Sometimes in life the greatest discoveries occur when you aren't even looking. This was a monumental and emotional moment for us and our entire team on the ground, and we just hope this can finally bring peace of mind to his relatives and the climbing world at large, said Chin, who is known for making Oscar-winning climbing documentary Free Solo. Aged 22 when he disappeared, Irvine was the youngest member of an expedition that has intrigued the mountaineering world for a century. The pair was last seen alive on June 8, 1924 as they set off for the peak. Mallory's body would not be found until 1999 by an American climber. In recent decades, the search for the climber's remains has been mired in controversy amid suspicions that the bodies were moved. The benign tumor, dubbed a breakdance bulge, was more than an inch thick, according to a report published by the British Medical Journal. The condition is thought to be caused by repeated friction between the scalp and the floor, combined with pressure from the dancer's body. The unnamed dancer from Denmark trained 5 times a week, including up to 7 minutes of head spinning, and had been wearing a hat to hide the bulge. He had continued spinning on his head despite developing the protuberance over 19 years of breakdancing. Over the last 5 years, it had grown bigger and more painful. When he sought help in his 30s, medics at Copenhagen University Hospital had to rule out diseases including cancer before diagnosing a headspin hole. The condition typically begins with hair loss but can develop into a significant lump on the head. The dancer's head pictured before the surgery, and 1 month later. One of the authors of the paper, published in the journal BMJ Case Reports on Thursday, told the PA news agency, "This report does not advocate against headspinning entirely. However, breakdancers who notice the early development of a breakdance bulge should consider reducing or avoiding headspins, as continuing may lead to further enlargement of the bulge," said Dr. Christian Bostrup Sondergaard. He added, "Although this is a rare condition unique to breakdancers, the successful surgical treatment in this case demonstrates that it is a viable option for symptom relief." He added that only one prior case had been reported and encouraged further study of breakdancing injuries. The dancer said, "It is now possible for me to go out in public without a cap, which is, of course, a very nice feeling." He added that he had received a lot of positive feedback, including that his head looks completely normal. The report notes that breakdancing involves a range of complex and physically demanding techniques that render dancers particularly prone to injuries. Elon Musk unveils Cybercab at Tesla robotaxi event. Tesla boss Elon Musk has unveiled the firm's long-awaited robotaxi, the Cybercab, at the Warner Bros. Studios in Burbank, California. The futuristic-looking vehicle featuring 2 wing-like doors and no pedals or steering wheel deposited Mr. Musk in front of an audience eager to hear details about a project he considers key to Tesla's next chapter. At the event, Build, We, Robot, the multi-billionaire reiterated his view that fully self-driving vehicles will be safer than those operated by humans and could even earn owners money by being rented out for rides. But Mr. Musk's prediction that production would begin sometime before 2027 raised questions about whether he will once again fail to meet his own deadlines. "I tend to be optimistic with time frames," he quipped during the event. He said the Cybercab, which would compete with rivals including Alphabet-owned Waymo, would cost less than $30,000, £23,000. However, analysts have cast doubt on how realistic that plan is. It will be extremely difficult for Tesla to offer a new vehicle at that price within that timescale, said Paul Miller, from Research Forrester. Without external subsidies, or Tesla making a loss on every vehicle, it doesn't seem plausible to launch at anything close to that price this decade, he added. Mr. Musk also said he expected to see fully autonomous unsupervised technology available in Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y in Texas and California next year, with permission wherever regulators approve it. But that approval is far from guaranteed. It is a big chunk of metal driving on roads at high speeds, so safety concerns are big, said Sami the Samaraniak, an associate professor in engineering at Cornell University. Tesla's self-driving ambitions rely on cameras that are cheaper than radar and LiDAR, light detection and ranging, sensors that are the technology backbone of many competitors' vehicles. By teaching its cars to drive, Tesla plans to use artificial intelligence, AI, trained by the raw data it collects from its millions of vehicles. But the research community is not sold on whether the Tesla style of doing things can give the safety guarantees that we would like, Mr. Samaraniak said. The Cybercab project has undergone delays, having originally been due for release in August. This summer, in a post on X, formerly Twitter, Mr. Musk said the wait was due to design changes he felt were important. Meanwhile, competing robotaxis are already operating on some U.S. roads. Tesla also seems poised to post its first-ever decline in annual sales as competitors pile into the electric vehicle market, even as sales have softened. Despite that dour backdrop, Tuesday's event was heavy on spectacle, complete with Tesla's humanoid robots dancing and serving drinks to attendees. Mr. Musk also unveiled another prototype for a robovan, which can ferry up to 20 passengers around at a time. The sleek shuttle could be a mode of transportation over the coming years that Tesla leverages, said Wedbush Securities Managing Director Dan Ives, who attended the event in person. Can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That would be sick, Musk told attendees as Tesla's robovan rolled into Thursday's event. Another analyst said the event felt like a step back into memory lane while also signaling the path ahead. Musk did a fantastic job of painting an ideal future for transportation that promises to both free up our time and increase safety, said Jessica Caldwell, head of insights at Edmunds. But despite the showmanship, there are doubts about whether he can deliver the vision he sketched out. Many questions remain about how this will be achieved from a practical standpoint, Caldwell added. State of the robotaxi market. The deployment of robotaxis has encountered setbacks, with driverless cars operated by General Motors subsidiary Cruise being suspended in San Francisco after a pedestrian was knocked down. But the sector continues to expand. Waymo said in early October it would add the Hyundai Ioniq 5 to its robotaxi fleet after the vehicles undergo on-road testing with the company's technology. Ride-hailing giant Uber also wants to add more autonomous vehicles to its fleet to expand on its delivery and ride-sharing options for customers. It announced a multi-year alliance with driverless car developer Cruise in August. Chinese tech company Baidu is also reportedly looking to expand its robotaxi division, Apollo Go, beyond China, where the vehicles are active in several cities. Subscribe, like and share for more latest news.